Welcome to the Fight Show here on Sports Tonight Live with me, Don McGuinness, and alongside me again, it's a pleasure to see you again, Spencer Oliver, former European champion and a man engrossed in the news as ever.
Absolutely.
Things gone well for you, Spence? Tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah, really good. You know, as always, Dom, I'm in the gym, just working day in, day out and doing various other little projects, but all's well at the moment.
Well, just to tell you what's coming up, we're going to have a little bit of a fighting film theme. We're going to be talking about The Fighter, and there's some interesting news coming up about Irish Micky Ward and Dicky Ekland as well. And we're going to be hearing from a boxing thespian quite soon. As well as that, we're going to be crossing over to Italy to find out a little bit about the World Series of Boxing, which is coming to London very soon, in a couple of weeks' time, and getting all the latest news as well in the forthcoming fights. Of course, we've got a great weekend ahead. But we're also, as ever, Spencer, going to start by looking back some of the things that obviously have happened over the last few days in the world of boxing. And I think if we start the weekend and the big heavyweight contest in Belfast for that Irish belt, the Irish strap, Rogan against Tyson Fury, the enigma that is.
Yeah.
He got the verdict. It took 5 rounds, obviously, for him to take care of Martin Rogan, who is a veteran at this stage. But your take on the whole fight? Listen,
Martin Rogan, you got to give the man respect. He's been a great fighter through the years, and I think that he still had a bit to offer. So I mean, if you look at the performance, I think that Fury done really well to get rid of Rogan in 5 rounds. But the spectacle was strange, wasn't it? I mean, Fury comes out boxing as a southpaw. We've never seen that before. He didn't just come out for a round boxing as a southpaw. He stayed southpaw for the 5 rounds, and I thought he actually done it rather well. You know, the first knockdown in round 3, he landed a good left cross through the middle. So, I mean, I don't know if he was maybe a southpaw at the beginning of his career, maybe when he was a kid, and they switched him round to orthodox, because they do that occasionally. But I thought that he actually boxed rather well. But, you know, it was just a strange one, the way that he come out boxing as a southpaw and stayed there. But, you know, on a whole, I thought he done really well, and onwards and upwards for him.
It was a fight beforehand that everyone was thinking, well, Martin, is he going to try and rush in there, get to his chest? You know, I mean, you're talking about a guy there who's 6'9". Yeah. He's got ridiculous tools when you think about it in terms of keeping people at bay.
But if you look at him, Dom, you know, we were saying this before, you look at him and he doesn't look like a fighter, does he? He's like very tall, very spangly, but he uses all his attributes to a big advantage. You know, he boxes very well, keeps him well at long range. He thought that Rogan was going to rush him. He come out with his hands nice and tight. Yes, he did come out as a southpaw, which probably threw Rogan. But Rogan, I think if you give him a chance, it was only going to be in the first 3 or 4 rounds anyway. He come out, he did try and do that, but Fury took his game plan away just by coming out boxing southpaw and leading off with those left crosses. So I think Fury, you know, done really well, because he didn't just surprise Rogan, he surprised everybody in the boxing world. No one expected him to do what he'd done, not the way that he'd done it. Yes, we expected him to win, and probably win inside the distance at this stage of Rogan's career, but no one expected him to come out as a southpaw and finish it in that sort of style. So hats off to him.
You can see why someone like Martin Rogan would have looked at Fury, and with all the build-up, all the hype, good-natured that it was, but with everything in the way that it was built, so he probably thought, I can take this 23-year-old to school. Because as we were saying before, you know, you look at him tall, gangly, skinny legs on him, slightly knock-kneed, and he looks awkward. And the fact that he doesn't seem to know what he's going to do. We don't know who's going to train him. That's for starters, because he's jumped trainers all over the place, hasn't he? He's moved on. It's Uncle Peter Fury this time. You know, he's lost a lot of weight, but he's never going to be that body beautiful, is he?
Listen, he seems to be one of those fighters that, when he's got a tough fight in front of him, a tough opponent, Derek Chisora, he was in great shape for. Martin Rogan there, he was in great shape before, and we've seen him in other fights where he's come in and looked terribly flabby and overweight. So like you say, I think that he may have just got it right this time, and let's hope that he just sticks with his training this time and he can sort of move on. But he's trying out different things, and you can't knock the guy, because he's now 19 unbeaten, I think it is, and you know, he's winning, he's moving up in class. Rogan's another good notch on his record. So I think that, you know, we can expect more from him. Mick Hennessy's doing a good job for him, you know, just building him up, working him through the ranks. I think they're looking at now moving on to the European stage before the world stage, because he's not ready for a world title yet. You know, he's still learning, but I think he can definitely move on to European honours, and it'll be interesting to see him there.
I mean, Mick said he beats Povetkin now.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not yet. You know, Povetkin, I think that they see him as one of the weaker champions. But if you look at Povetkin, you know, excellent amateur, like an amazing amateur and a brilliant pro as well. He's proven that he can tough it out. We saw that last time out in his last fight. He had to dig deep. He had to push it right to the final bell. So, I know they're talking about provoking, but I think that's a little bit early yet.
Price isn't going to happen.
No.
So what is that next step up?
Well, like I said,
the European level? Is it Hellenius? Is it?
Hellenius has now vacated the title, so the title's now become vacant. I can't remember who's actually fighting for that vacant title, but that's where he fits into the mix. I think that he's going to be high in the European rankings anyway. So a possible European title fight with whoever becomes champion.
And dare we say he's nowhere near Klitschko level yet?
Not yet, no, definitely not. I think that Klitschko's. How long can they go on for? They've both been around now for a long, long time, a decade at the top. They've both been champions. Vitali's getting older, he's in his 40s now. Vladimir's still boxing very cautiously and still looks like he's got a lot to offer, but how long can they continue? And I think with the Klitschkos, it's about getting them at the right time. That's the secret, and I think that right time is maybe another 12 to 18 months.
Well, they want to fight people they've already fought as well, don't they?
Absolutely. And do you know what? Most of them are old sparring partners. Nobody that really.
They're very clever, these boys, aren't they?
They're very. Listen, I would like to have their bank account, wouldn't you?
They know what they're doing. They can sell an arena. If I jumped in the ring, they'd sell 30,000 seats. I mean,
absolutely.
That's what they're dealing with. So who can blame them, really?
Yeah.
But, the business people first, I think, and boxers second. But another guy that was fighting at the weekend, of course, Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah.
Who did a fairly impressive performance against
another
Allison.
good performance, and he's living in the shadows of his father, obviously, at the moment, which is going to happen. But he's on the learning curve. He's been over to America. He's done a lot of training over in America. He's picking up the trade. And, I thought it was another decent performance. Yeah, we did see a few weaknesses there, but they're there to be worked on. We're not expecting the finished article yet. He's only 3 or 4 fights in. So, I think he looks a good prospect for the future.
There was a huge talking point across the pond, the Rio Sabriel fight, which has got an awful lot of people over there and here, of course, saying that this has got to stop. These decisions have got to stop. We've spoken about it before. What can be done with these contentious decisions where just about every single person that saw that fight has given it a Brill. Apart from 2 judges, everybody. Yeah,
and we've seen that on a number of times over here. And I think that in those situations, the people that are involved in that, hence the judges, the referee, whoever's involved in those decisions going the way that they do, should be brought in front of the board, and whatever country it's in front of that commission, in front of that board, and they should have their licences provoked, because, like you said, it was clear cut that he'd lost the fight, and he went and got the decision. Now that's just stopped someone's career from moving on, stopped them from potentially earning big money, winning big title fights. So you got to feel for him, and fortunately for Rios, he remains unbeaten, but he's definitely been tarnished.
Well, back to the UK and some of the news that's reaching us, of course, over the last couple of weeks. There's always something happening, of course. And a guy that we both know, Spencer, who's moving into the training business. And not just on a personal level, he does a bit of that, he can tell us about that. But we have got a bit of a fighting film theme. And who better than the thespian himself, the boxing actor, Stevie Bell, who's on the line now from Manchester. Hello, Steve.
Oh, thank you. Hello.
He's never out of character. That's him. Look at that. That's it.
I've never been called that before. I'm so sorry. I really wanted to come on the video, but I can't hear when I'm on the video. I'm hearing my underpants as well for you.
Yeah, well, it's all right. Face for radio anyway, Steve. This is fine. Don't worry about that.
It is. Yeah, it is. All right. That's all right. Then how are you, fellas? All right.
Yeah, really good, Steve. Yourself?
Good, yeah, I'm fine, Spencer. It's good to hear from you again.
Yeah, mate. Listen, we spoke. I don't know, what was it, 6 months or so ago? You told me you was moving into the personal training thing, which I do a little bit of as well. And since then, I've seen you on my screens in Coronation Street. Now I see you training top fighters, Prince Aaron. I mean, you're going from strength to strength.
Well, things happen, don't they, Spencer? And it's all fate, I suppose. I was never supposed to get into training fighters. I didn't really want to do that. I remember giving you a call in 6 months ago, and I want to say a massive thank you to that. To you for that, because you helped me out a lot. You offered me a lot of good advice, which I took on and doing really successful now with a personal training business, and because of that, I set up the personal training. Obviously, Aaron came on to me for a bit of personal training, and then decided he wanted me to train him. So it's all come from that. It all happens for a reason.
Brilliant.
So I'm really enjoying it at the minute.
I was saying to Dom just earlier on, you know, like we'd been speaking and stuff, and he told me he was training Aaron and stuff, and I just think that you got so much to offer the game. You was an excellent amateur. You know, you won everything, boxed numerous times for England, and you had an excellent pro career as well. You boxed for titles, so you've got all the experience, and you should be giving some of that back. And I think that you'll make an excellent addition to the trainers, Steve.
Well, thanks for that, Spence. It's really nice to hear that. I mean, I think I was a better amateur than I was a professional. You know, and that's really my game, and that's what I know about. And I think what I'll bring to the professional boxing game is a little bit of technique, which I think at the minute it lacks. So yeah, I mean, it's hard enough to get a trainer fit, but a boxer fit, but it's even harder to teach them a bit of technique and a bit of skill, and that's what I'm all about. And I think you know, with my amateur credentials and obviously with a bit of experience from the pro game, I can bring some fighters on. Obviously, I'm starting with Aaron at the minute, and I started with him because he's entirely my style. He's very tall, very long, and I'd not really seen much of him, to be honest. I didn't watch the prize fight that was in, so I'd not really seen him in a fight. So when he came to me and I saw him, I thought, wow, I can do a lot with him. He's done really well to win a British title, you know, as he is, but there's a lot of improvements that can be made with him, which I'm excited about, and that's why I've jumped on board and started training him. And
is that the sort of style, Steve, that you're going to be looking to train? You know, those guys that have got those amateur credentials that box, you know, a similar amateur style, and you'll sort of add to that. Is that the sort of guys you'll be interested in?
Well, I think if I can improve a fighter, then whether he's a fighter or whether he's a boxer, then I'll take him on. I've got to look at someone and say, you know, if I can personally improve him, then yeah, I'll take him on. That's not a problem. What I can do is get the best out of a fighter and get, you know, the reach that they should be getting. Aaron's a massive puncher with a long reach, and he's not been using it. So what I'm doing at the minute is working on that and working on a lot of technique with him. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fighters out there that can be brought on, which that's what my forte is. That's what I'm good at.
Well, as an actor as well, Steve, you realise now that we've run out of time, so we'll have to get you on properly. And next time you're in London, you'll have to come in your underpants, obviously, and come and join us and tell us more about the progress of Aaron, your personal training, acting, everything else, and just very much in a word, the best fight film you've ever seen, because we're going to be talking all about the fighter in this show. You know, the Micky Ward. What's the best film, boxing film? Goodness, deliberating. Push for time so he starts deliberating.
Sorry, say that again. I missed you out. I missed you there.
The best boxing film of all time.
Best boxing film of all time. It's got to be, without a doubt, Raging Bull. I think The Fighter's right up there with them. You know, in recent times, but without a doubt, for me, Robert De Niro looked awesome as a fighter. Yeah. So yeah, Raging Bull, without a doubt.
Good man. Thank you very much indeed, Steve. We'll have to leave it there, but we will speak soon. And thanks very much for joining us. All the best with Aaron and everything else that's going on up in Manchester.
Good to speak to you, Steve.
Cheers now. Well, plenty more to come, of course. We are going to be talking more about the fighter and hearing about a UK tour that is coming here as well, with Irish Micky Ward and Dicky Ekland, of course, his brother. This is, though, The Fight Show on Sports Tonight. Welcome back. This is The Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live with me, Don McGuinness. Spencer Oliver, as ever, is here, and we have a guest in the studio, and it's a great welcome to say hello, Nina Cranston. Nina C, what is it?
Come on, just Nina. Nina will do. Nina. It's easier.
Just
remember a fire engine.
Yeah. Now, you're here to tell us about the forthcoming tour of Irish Micky Ward and Dicky Ekland. We remember, of course, immortalised, if they weren't already famous, by the film The Fighter. So just briefly tell us what's going on and why you're doing this and why it's all happened.
Well, just doing boxing promoting, you actually get a feel for the boxing side, should I say. And then I've seen the audiences with Mike Tyson, a few others. They're really, really good. And then I watched the film The Fighter, and instantly I just had to meet them because I felt that their story was just so powerful. Then found out they'd never actually been here before. And I just thought, oh my God, found out that they got hold of an agent. And then from there it just steamrolled. So yeah, bringing them over on May the 3rd.
So the idea to get the two boys over here, and how's it all going to kind of work?
Well, the guys are coming over. It's their first tour since the film obviously was released in 2011. They're going to do a few days with press, and then they're doing an audience with on the 5th at the Hilton Metropole, then on the 6th at Crown Plaza, which is like kind of North Essex, easy for people to get from Cambridge. And then you've got the Kent Priestfield Gillingham Football Stadium. So it's an audience with, and meal and sit down and listen to their tales of the fighter and all Mark Wahlberg, Christian Bale, and their journey. It's going to be great. Well,
I think it's a great opportunity for Irish Micky Ward to join us now and tell us all about this. You're obviously excited about coming over to the UK, Mick.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm really excited to be back to the UK. They really took me in over here when I fought. Obviously, I was the underdog, and I was, if you want to say, enemy. But they really treated me with respect, and and they're really a bunch of great people over there, and I can't wait to get back.
And the Shane Neary fight, which you allude to, of course, it was a very popular fighter here, Shane Neary, the Shamrock Express. But in terms of the fight with Shane and then the Gatti trilogy, and then the film, The Fighter, I mean, just how incredible has your life been since that film came out? Yeah, well,
it's been a little crazy, with the movie The Fighter coming out, but before that, beating Shea for the championship, and fighting Gatti, and then the movie, it's really really opened doors up for me as far as work and stuff like that. As far as financially, it's really helped me out a lot, and I'm just capitalizing on it. But it's been really, really busy, and it's really positive.
So Micky, what does the future hold now? I mean, what you got? What's the plans for the future?
Well, I run a boxing gym here, and I also, I'm a teamster, but when the movie division back here in Boston, when the movies happen, I drive and stuff. I'm a teamster for Local 25 out of Boston, Mass. So I do that, and I have an outdoor deck hockey rink, floor hockey rink out back of the gym, and so it's going pretty good for me.
And how's Dicky getting on? Because, of course, your two characters in the film had a great bit of chemistry, as you would imagine, of course.
Right.
But he can, in some ways, Christian Bale and his role in that film almost nicked it off your character, Mark Wahlberg, in terms of performance. Right. But, give us a bit of insight into what Dicky's up to at the moment, what we can expect when he comes over here as well.
He's doing good. He's actually doing good. He's training some fighters in the gym, and he's just taking it day by day. But he's good. He's doing really good, and I'm just glad that he's on the straight and narrow.
And when you think back now to the boxing career that you had and what this new opportunity that you have, a lot of boxers have been tempted by the acting book over the years. We've just been speaking to one, Steve Bell, Spencer Oliver here in the studio. Not quite the actor, but he's made records. He's made music. This fella.
I have.
He's appeared in videos. I mean, a lot of people have gone into that kind of. Were you not actually tempted by that? I mean, you've obviously helped Mark Wahlberg prepare for the role, but do you not think that's maybe for me?
What, acting myself?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't mind doing a couple little things like that, but I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I could do it, but
you were in the fighter, though, Micky.
That's a different ball game, I think.
Micky, you were in the fighter, though, weren't you? You were featured. You were featured in the fighter.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was in the fighter, but if you blinked, you missed me.
Micky, you're coming over to do these after dinner speaks and stuff. Do you think that that's something that you would like to do more of in the future? Maybe traveling the globe, doing telling your story.
Sure, I would love to. I think that it's very positive. I would like to do that. I do a lot more traveling to different countries, and to tell the story. It's a positive story, and I enjoy it. So, this would be like I've actually gone over to. I did a little motivational thing over in Copenhagen, Denmark, a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago. So this would kind of be like my first tour in England back from when I fought over there in 2000. Actually, this was my third time in London, because I won a championship and I went back there a few years back, and we had an amateur team fight. So this would be my third time going back there. So it's good though to go over to overseas and to tell people the story and do motivational stuff.
Micky, what gives you a bigger buzz now? Is it fight fans saying that the trilogy with Gatti was the best thing they've ever seen, the finest display of two warriors? Or is it now people that maybe aren't boxing fans saying The Fighter, what a great movie, what a great story of yours? I mean, what now gives you a bigger thrill?
Right, it was, well, before The Fighter come on, it was the Gatti trilogy and winning the championship. Those were the two, but since The Fighter, it's been The Fighter, because now it's opened up, a lot of women know about it, and because of the seven sisters and my mother, that a lot of the women got involved in it, and so now there's even more women that know about it too. So it's really brought like the woman more to boxing and boxing movies for that matter. So it's really opened up a wide variety of audience for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was such a fantastic story, or it is such a fantastic story, that non-boxing fans really appreciated it. And I think that that's what sort of caught the imagination of the film, The Fighter. You didn't have to be a boxing fan to appreciate the film. Whereas in previous films before, we've seen like Cinderella Man and various other films, Raging Bull, you really had to be a boxing fan to appreciate the film. But this one touches on so many other different people in different walks of lives, you know.
Exactly.
It really does. Like I mentioned earlier, it really does. You know, with the dynamic of the craziness in the family, then you got the woman, and it really appealed to woman because you got the mother, you got the sisters, and a lot of women relate to that. So you know, it made bigger of an audience. You know, woman and man, not just boxing fans.
We have. I mean, the tickets that we've sold is actually quite funny because. It's quite a few women coming.
Excellent.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got obviously, as you said before, it's just broadened the fan base not only to men now because obviously only kind of boxing guys would know you through the Gatti fight, but now it's gone to the homes where people just love general films. And my mum absolutely adored that film. I mean, she was crying.
I think everybody did, didn't they? Like I said, it touched different people, you know.
Yeah.
You know, people that weren't into boxing at all. They just watched the film and just thought it was magnificent. You'd actually think that was just a magnificent film, not that there was a true story behind it, and that's what made it so intriguing.
Yeah, yeah.
And also that really it's ultimately a positive boxing story, isn't it? And that's important because too often there are negative stories about
boxing. Well, it always
boxing.
ends in a sad story, doesn't it? 99 times it ends in a sad story. This is one of the exceptions, and I think that's why people appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
Right.
And it also tells you can't choose your family, Mick. You just got to get on with it. Now, a special question. I hear you do a fantastic British accent, Micky.
A British accent? A British.
I said I hear you do a fantastic British accent, Micky.
I'll be over in a week.
Now, tell me this.
I'll be over in 3 weeks.
Do you want a cup of tea?
A cup of tea.
Well, it's lovely talking to Dick Van Dyke. But are there any plans, by the way, Micky, to actually to take it over to Ireland as well? Are you penciling that in at this stage? Because I'm sure that you will obviously Irish Micky Ward will go down well there.
Right, thanks. Yeah, I didn't really hear you. I couldn't hear you.
I'm just saying you'll have a big fan base in Ireland as well when you get round to going there, which I'm sure you will.
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah, it's true. Yep.
Yep. And just a final point, any plans then we know what you're doing now in your day-to-day life, but in terms of maybe more, you know, in the acting world, or any plans for another fighter film or anything going to happen on that line, do you think?
Well, hopefully Fighter 2, you know, it's not 100% yet, but it's in the works, so they're talking about it, so it looks pretty good for it happening, but nothing's guaranteed, so, but I think that might happen.
Very, very good. Well, thank you, Micky. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and all the very best for the tour. Just remind us again, or Nina, about the dates and what's happening with all of that.
We've got them on the 5th of May in the Hilton Metropole in London, the 6th of May at the Crown Plaza, North Essex, and then 7th in Kent at the Priestfields, Gillingham. They can go to touchglovepromotions.co.uk to get tickets. Micky's looking forward to it, aren't you, Micky?
I'm looking forward to being over there, and I can't wait to get back.
We're looking forward to seeing you and Dicky right here as well, Micky.
Yeah, we're going to get you down here with Dicky.
We'll get you here.
Only if I can find Dicky.
We won't ask where he is. He's at home.
That's great stuff. Well, thanks for your time, Micky. We appreciate it.
Great speaking to you, Micky.
Love you,
Mick.
All the very best to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I think you're going to have fun with these fellas.
Oh, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. And obviously, I've not met them personally. It's always been over the phone. But I haven't really spoke to Micky that much because he's got massive obligations and stuff. Dicky's very easy to reach. He's always at the end of the phone. But you just can't stop Dicky from... he's hilarious. He's constantly cracking jokes. And it's like a yin and yang. You know, Micky's always very serious, and don't get me wrong, Dicky can be, but he's a complete clown joker. So I know that it's going to work well on the audience with scene. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I am looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. You better be coming.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. You know, Micky Ward was one of my, is one of my boxing heroes. I actually commentated on a couple of his fights. One of the Toragatti fights, later Toragatti, and it's an honour to meet people like that. You know, in the boxing world, and he's a legend, isn't he? So
he is,
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's a cool
So
guy.
Christian Bale might be back on these shores as well. You'll have to get him along.
Well, there's a rumour keeps flying around that apparently someone said that, he might be attending. I said, but then the mad thing is I thought they didn't know about it, and then I got a phone call from Kings of the Ring, and they said, because of the Olympics they want to do things on females, and I said to them, okay, cool. I said, how did you find out about me? And they went, Mark Wahlberg told us. And I was like, Mark Wahlberg told you what? That a female's brought Micky and Dicky over to the UK for the first time. So they must be talking about
listen,
it.
Word spreads, doesn't it? If Micky Ward's coming over, people are going to know who's bringing him over, where he's going to be. So it's never going to be a secret. So it's going to be out there, and now it's going to be out there even more.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that, and thanks for telling us about it.
Thanks for having us.
And it's been great to speak to Micky. So more coming up anyway. We're going to be looking at the fights that are happening, and we'll be talking more about the World Series of Boxing. So stay right with us. This is The Fight Show here on Sports Tonight Live. Welcome back. This is The Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live with me, Don McGuinness, alongside me, Spencer Oliver, and we've been told off Irish Micky Ward isn't happy, Spencer.
Is that right?
Yeah, we've not mentioned his forthcoming book.
Oh, of course. How did we forget?
Because we didn't know.
No,
but
just because we were too intrigued in speaking to him, that was probably
But he's not happy. He wanted us to mention Warrior's Heart, Micky Ward's book coming out, which of course any fight fan would want to read anyway.
Absolutely,
let's face it. So it's fair enough that we give it a plug. But now we are going to switch tack. We are talking World Series of Boxing. Now this, we have a man up on the sky wall, which we'll talk to in a minute, but the understanding is there's a huge event, Spencer, taking place at the Excel Arena on May the 2nd, and this is a chance for some of the best fighters in the world to come together. There are teams all over the world that take part in this series. Now the team final at the Excel, which is the Olympic venue, of course, of boxing, and it is Milano Thunder against Moscow Dynamo, the two teams battling head-to-head. And this is, of course, where amateur fighters can retain their amateur status and box as pros, no headguard, no vest, travel the world doing that, get paid for the trouble, and then obviously continue their amateur career. So, I mean, we're going to talk to one of the exponents of this, but from your point of view?
Listen, I think it's a great idea. I mean, not a lot of people will know about this. You know, it's not very recognised at the moment. I'm sure it will be. Maybe after this event in London it will be. But I think it's a great idea because you get a lot of amateurs that turn professional, realise it's not for them, and they can't go back. So now they're still amateurs, but they're boxing as pros, no vests, no head guards, so they get the feel, and if they like it, then they've got that opportunity to turn professional. So I think it's a great idea, Well, let's bring in now Ireland's William McLaughlin, who is part of the Milano Thunder team. Willie, how are you doing? You're over in Italy at the moment, I believe, at a training base?
Yes, Dom, thanks for having me on here. Yeah, we're in Italy at the minute. We've been over here for the last few weeks. We had a break at Easter, so we're in camp at the moment for the final in Moscow, against Moscow, you know, so everything's going pretty good.
Now, just tell us, I mean, a few of the Irish lads, post-Beijing, Kenny Egan, some of the other guys, got involved with World Series of Boxing. The UK guys haven't followed suit as yet. Now, just tell us why you entered this series and what it's done for you, the positives for it, why you think it's such a good thing.
Well, last year when it was first up and running, I was going to enter it, and I entered it as a wild card, and Los Angeles wanted me over, and so did Paris United. But I thought to opt out of it because I thought I'd give my Olympics a run, you know, and things just didn't go to plan that way, you know. So this year the opportunity came again, and Milano Thunder came knocking on the door just as the season finished, the first season finished, you know, and it was an opportunity I couldn't resist, you know, because I've been talking to a few of the Irish guys, and they says like it would suit me, my style, you know. So that's why I decided to give it a rattle, and I'm really happy at it, you know.
You know, a lot of people are going to want to know, you know, a little bit more about this World Series and also what it's like taking the best off for the amateurs. Could you tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, to be honest, Dom, I always had a professional style about me, you know, and I was always told that professional was my road to go, you know. So it was always in the back of my head, you know, and I've had a few offers from England, you know, and other places to go professional in the last number of years, but I opted to stay amateur, you know. But taking the vest off for the very first time in the headgear, my first WSB fight was unbelievable. You know, I couldn't believe the difference in it. The amount of times you clash heads in a bout is unbelievable, you know. And it was a learning curve, you know. My first fight, I fought a guy in the amateurs who beat me from Georgia. And my first fight in WSB, I beat him in all 5 rounds, you know. So I knew from then on it did suit me. And but it also it keeps your amateur status as well.
Absolutely.
Spencer mentioned there.
That's what we was talking about, for keeping the amateur status. So you're still an amateur, but does it make you want to turn professional? I mean, that's going to be another big question that people want to know. I mean, you take your head guard and your vest off, and as you know, I mean, I know from personal experience from being an amateur and turning professional that, you know, it is 2 totally different games. And from an amateur, and you're still amateur, does that make you, did it make you want to turn professional once you got that head guard and vest off?
Yeah,
for sure, Dominic, you know,
let me just tell you, Willie, we've got Spencer here asking you questions as well, so that was Spencer there.
Sorry, Willie.
I know you can't see us, I just wanted to make that clear.
For sure, like, the professional style suits me a lot better. And as soon as you get that vest off, it's a better game. It's more entertaining for the fans. Amateur boxing is absolutely ruined, I think, with the way the scoring system has worked and different things like that. Nobody wants to go and watch it. You don't want to pay and go on to see amateur boxing anymore. So people like to see action, and you get lots of action in the WSB. So you do.
So as it stands at the moment, you would still be an amateur, but are you going to turn professional off the back of doing this series?
That's a good question, to be honest, Spencer. I've had a few guys onto me, you know, and I'm meeting a few guys now in the 5th of May in Belfast at the prize fitter. You know, there's a few guys interested in me, so I'll think about it. You know, it's definitely in the back of my mind. It's probably the front of my mind at the minute, you know, but I'll have to see what comes up, like, because when you're in Dublin, I'm in high performance in Dublin, so I still get my grant as well. So it's a difficult decision, you know.
Sure.
It all depends on the contract you get and who's looking after you, know. But I know a good few guys in London there. I've been over a few times with Tony Sims and that, you know, and I find him a very good guy. So I'll see what happens, you know. It's a decision I'll have to make very soon, you know.
I suppose what this World Series actually does is it gives you that feel for the professional ring, and then now you've still got that opportunity to be an amateur, but you know what it's going to be like when you eventually do turn professional. So I suppose that's the beauty of the World Series.
Yeah, for sure. Like, 5 fights over here and 5 fights and I'm beaten, so I am. So at the moment I'm going really well on the professional end of it. Like, you know, today we're unsparring a few Cubans are here, that the Cuban teams here that are going to the Olympic Games, and I found the style is completely different. I was over here in Italy for the last maybe 6 months, and they've got me slowing down my pace and completely change of tactics. And I think when I went back to Ireland for the Irish Championships, that's what really happened to me in my Irish Championship. I beat in the semi-final, and I think that's what really kind of happened to me. The training was being different, and I was trying to get training for 5 rounds instead of 3 rounds, you know. Yeah.
Just tell us, with the razzmatazz that goes with the World Series of Boxing, what can boxing fans expect at the arena in London for this final? I mean, why should they come along and see it? I mean, obviously you're excited about it. You've seen it at first hand over in Italy, but for those that haven't.
For those that haven't, it's an unbelievable experience. For a boxer, I know it's an unbelievable experience. In Italy, there was always about 2,000 people at the arena every night. We boxed, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. And you just don't get men that's gonna fall over within 2 rounds. There's on there for 5 rounds, and they're going to fight. And the top amateurs in the world are fighting against each other. So you're going to have one ding dong of a fight, you know, no matter what category it is.
And you alluded to it before, that the point scoring is different, and without the head guards and vests. So you're saying that people are going to see a good fight every time that the World Series of Boxing takes place, basically.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10 for sure. You're going to get one hell of a fight. 2 good top quality boxers in action, you know. So that's what it's about. Like, people don't want to pay money and go on to see 2 men fighting. That's not world class, but they have to be fairly decent, you know. So that's the only reason I would go and pay to watch fighters anyway.
I know that your Olympic dream is over, unfortunately for you, Willie, but There's been a huge talking point in Ireland, of course, with Joe Ward not making it after what he did to Ken Egan in the light heavyweight division, and you know, great medal hope for Ireland. I mean, what's your take on that? Have you spoken to any of the boys in the Ireland squad?
I haven't spoke to a few in the Irish squad, you know, but they say maybe Joe maybe did enough, but there's many a time I myself went away, a lot of other boxers went away, and the same thing has happened to you in amateur boxing. You get bad decisions. That's amateur boxing for you. There's nothing you can do. You just have to put your foot down and work again. You know, that's just amateur boxing. That's boxing in a hole. You get bad decisions all the time you go out, and you're going to have to take them. And Joe Ward was a big prospect in Ireland, and everybody was talking about him. But he's still very young. He could have resolved the Olympic Games in Brazil, and he could go to the Olympics after that again, you know. So he's very young, and as the Italian says to me over here, his experience he has to gain is unbelievable yet. He still might be only 19 years of age, but he has to get a lot of experience yet before he can go on, you know. But Joe Ward, I think, should maybe have been at the Olympics, but he's not.
Is the irony for you now, since you've joined the World Series of Boxing, that now if you went back, you feel even more a complete fighter now if you were taking part in the Olympics?
You see, it's a completely different style, to be honest. In the amateur game, 1 round, if you box good for 1 round and get maybe 5 or 6 points ahead, the fight's over. In the World Series of Boxing, in my last fight, actually, for instance, in the semi-final against Baku, I lost my first 2 rounds, and I came back and won the fight. I won the last 3 rounds, and it was a ding-dong fight, you know. So in amateur boxing, people just run. If you get 5 points up, the fight's over, more or less. They close up, they run for the next 2 rounds, and that's why people don't see it anymore. People don't want to watch amateur boxing because of that.
And sorry, for people that don't know the scoring system in this World Series, so you've got 5 rounds, and how does it work? Do you have judges on the scoring system, or does it work on the computer scoring?
No, it's the exact same as professional boxing, 10-9 round.
Okay.
If you drop your opponents at 10-8 round, it's the exact same as professional boxing, and it's more entertaining, you know. But you can still know it goes to a computer every round, and sometimes our manager can see if you lose the first round or lose the second round, and therefore give you information that you lost the round or you won the round, you know.
Well, listen, Willie, it's been great talking to you, and all the very best. Now, and I'm sure the Irish community, and particularly the Donegal community, will come out and support you. It's not just Milan against Moscow. There's Donegal and Ireland as well to be backed in this one, and of course anyone in London that's going to come on and support you.
Best of luck, Willie.
Yeah, for sure.
All the best.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, Willie. All the best to you.
See you later.
There you got William McLaughlin fighting in the World Series of Boxing event at Docklands on May the 2nd. So interesting chat with that and everything, the way that it's going. We'll talk more in a minute, but of course we've got to move on. And we will be looking at this coming weekend's action when you join us right back here on The Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live. This is The Fight Show here on Sports Tonight Live with me, Don McGuinness, and Spencer Oliver. Now, Spencer, talking to Willie there, amateur still at this moment in time. You, as an amateur and pro, having a great career in both codes, if you like. Now, Team GB and some of the boys that have been over in Turkey qualifying for the Olympics, the biggest moment of their lives. And already Team GB has got a fantastic squad now ahead of the Games in London. There's Storker, Selby, Joshua, Campbell, Evans, and just Taylor, who's qualified in Trabzon as well. Couple more to go. Anthony Agogo and Callum Smith, a fight away. Now, talk us through what these lads are feeling now after 4 years of build up to this, and it's incredible. They've done so well to get to this point.
And this is it. This is the final hurdle. You know, I mean, they've worked so hard. You know, they've earned the right to be there, and there's just one more fight to go. And I know what it means to these boys. And I mean, I know Agogo, and I know Callum Smith as well. He's one of the famous Smith brothers, Paul Smith, of course.
When's that conveyor belt ever going to end, by the way?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
How many more have they got hidden away?
They just seem to be churning out different fighters, than they different champions. You sit at one show and all of a sudden there's a Smith on and he's fighting for the British title. So, I mean, they're a tremendous boxing family, lovely people as well. I know what it means to both of those guys that are waiting to qualify now, and I know they'll give it their all. And you know, I've got a great feeling that they're both going to qualify as well. All the guys that have as previously qualified, they're all in. They're all in medal hopes, them guys. You know, they're not there to make up the numbers. Let's have this right. Every one of those guys really can fight. I mean, this is the strongest team that GB has had for a long, long time. Forget that it is actually in London. Forget that. It's the strongest team that we've had in a long, long time. But Agogo and Smith, I know what it means to them both, and I'm, you know, fingers crossed they're going to come through.
They all train, of course, in Sheffield under the watchful eye of Rob McCracken. He has Richie Woodall there. The facilities they have are second to none. The way they're looked after there, was, you know, the support team and everything else, it's absolutely fantastic. And it's no surprise that GB should have that magnificent team. And as you mentioned, all of them, you'd be disappointed if they're not all in and around the medals.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just the way they're all so focused, so good. I know you know Anthony Joshua, the big super heavy hope, who's a cracking lad, and you know, again, he's got the world at his feet, hasn't he?
He certainly has. My uncle trains him as an amateur for Finchley Boxing Club, so I've seen him progress right from a beginner. Now, let's not forget Anthony Joshua, and the super heavyweight who beat the Olympic champion in the Worlds, won a silver medal. He's a great medal hope, and I'm sure that he's going to go out there and he'll win the gold medal. This kid's only been boxing for 4 years. The first time he laced on a pair of gloves 4 years ago. Just amazing, rapid progress, natural at the sport, and every other one of the guys that you mentioned there. Not just saying this because I'm a British guy, but it really would be disappointing if I would put any one of those in the medals. Well,
because we want the boxers to do better than anyone else, don't we, really,
Absolutely.
as disciplines, let's face it. So if there's a massive haul there, it justifies all the great work they're doing anyway, which is, you can just see it when you go in there. And you can see
what they're doing up in Sheffield. I mean, I boxed in the Commonwealth Games back in 1994. The facilities we had were really, we was in Crystal Palace. There was rubbish facilities. We never really done much. But how much they've moved on since, you know, from 94 now we're in 2012. The massive transition they've made in the amateur games is just amazing, and that's why we've got so many medal hopes now. I mean, the facilities they've got up in Sheffield, as you rightly said, are second to none. You know, they've got the top coaches there, the top dietitians there. Everything is in place for us to come away with a lot of medals. And,
you know, briefly, some of the other combat sports like Taekwondo, which is based in Manchester, I've been lucky enough to have some dealings with British Team GB Taekwondo. Excellent, fantastic. And again, just there's obvious comparisons, the way they're looked after, the way that they're also focused, and again, the medals all over it. That's just the way it
Absolutely.
seems.
And it's all down to the facilities and the way that GB have moved on. You know, we were so far behind. When we go back to when I was boxing again, I go back, reverting back to the 90s.
It's a regret here now. The way you're talking now, you're thinking, I wish my time would have been 15 years down the line.
Absolutely, why not? I mean, the facilities now are so much better. You know, the diets are so much better. You know, just everything is better. And that's why we're producing so many better fighters. Like I said to you, if you go back to the 90s, you know, America were way up there. They were out on their own. They always won all the medals. America and Cuba. It's all changed around now, and that's because everybody else has caught up, and Team GB are doing a great job.
Well, best of luck anyway to Agogo and Smith. Let's hope that they add to the team as well, because it's a fine-looking team already. But in terms of some of the fights that we can look forward to as well coming up, there's a big weekend. I think probably the pinnacle of domestic action is in Oldham, and we have their $1 million himself, Anthony Crolla, who's defending his British lightweight title against Derry Matthews. Now, on the face of that, Crolla certainly one of the most improved fighters in recent times.
Absolutely.
He had a couple of losses fairly early on his switch. He's joined Joe Gallagher and he's gone on from strength to strength. Fantastic lad as well.
Yeah.
Derry Matthews, you know, he was a real kind of prodigy, wasn't he, coming through the ranks? Liverpool's great hope.
Sports Writer of the Year fighter, and Derry Matthews. The interesting one about this, Dom, is that you look at that fight and you're going to go, Anthony Crolla is the kid on the way up. He's the one that everyone's talking about. Derry Matthews has been there. He's had his chance. He's won some. He's lost some. He's lost more major fights than one. Yeah. Now you look at that and go, Crolla's a big favourite here, but I'm telling you, Derry Matthews realises this is the last flip of the coin. You know, I've been watching him in the build-up to this. He's up for this fight. He knows that lose this, his boxing career's over. He's said in previous interviews, boxing's my life. So if I lose this fight and my boxing career's over, I've got a massive hole in my life. I can't afford to do that. He realises that this is make or break. So that's what's going to make that fight so interesting. Yes, I go for Crolla to win. I think that Crolla wins by late stoppage, but I think Matthews is going to make it very, very interesting. I think he's going to be very dangerous for the first half of the fight. But Crolla, to me, is the one that's going to go on, and he's going to go on to bigger and better things, and I fancy Crolla to win by stoppage.
He doesn't do anything but train and eat and sleep boxing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's just obsessed.
Yeah.
And with Matthews as well, because he had the terrible injuries against Gavin Rees with the fight, a draw, but then he was straight back in again, wasn't he, against Marsilian?
Yeah, in the European title fight. So he had the terrible injuries against Rees, which were, those injuries were horrific. That was 6 months ago. Since then, he's had another fight where his nose again was horrific for the European title. It really was. One minute, Matthews was on the floor, next minute, the champion was on the floor, and it was one of those fights where you thought who was going to win. Unfortunately, Matthews come apart, but he was so badly smashed up.
Yeah.
Now, that's 2 fights there, and now you go again, only 6 months later after he's had those two fights. I mean, there's a lot of confidence there. I know Oliver Harrison didn't want him to take this fight so early, but he's gone back now to his old trainers, and he's taking this. He sees this as the last roll of the dice, and good luck to him. He's a lovely guy, but it's Corolla time, I think.
You might be right. On the undercard to that, Askin and also against John Lewis Dickinson, but that again an intriguing one in Oldham. De Gale against Sanavia. I mean, the talk about George Groves, of course, the injury that's ruined his fight with Stieglitz for the world title. And De Gale apparently, wants to keep this fight for the European title in Denmark rather than go for that one. I mean, what's the thinking behind that? Are you with him on that one?
Well, I think that, he's trained for this fight. He's mentally prepared for this fight. The fight is now right here, so why change it? He's obviously very confident in winning this contest, which I am as well. I know it's abroad, but Savannah
it's neutral territory, though, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. So it's neutral territory. So, I mean, I think from De Gale's point of view is why rush it? I've got a European title fight here. This is what I've trained for. This is what I want to do. Now I've been given the world title opportunity, which would be a lot tougher. It would be out in Germany, so he'd have to go out there and he'd have to win convincingly. He'd probably have to knock him out to get the draw, really. Yeah. In recent times, we've seen the decisions out in Germany. So, for me, right decision for De Gale to stick to this fight.
Bellew McIntosh is an enthralling one.
Absolutely.
The Big Bang, you can understand why.
Yeah.
They've both got a dig on them, haven't they? And Bellew, he's got a bit to say for himself, hasn't he?
Well, we've seen Bellew a couple of times against Over McKenzie. I mean, the first one against Over McKenzie, he went down with a right hand, looked like he'd been shot. I've never seen someone go down so fast. How he got up and won the fight was beyond me, but he showed tremendous heart, tremendous courage. The second fight against McKenzie, he outboxed him totally, proved that he could box really well. Very unlucky against Cleverly, lost on a split decision. McIntosh comes with a big punch. McIntosh was stopped in 7 rounds by Nathan Cleverly as well, so that gives you a sort of marker on where they're at. For me, Tony Bellew wins, but McIntosh has got a big puncher's chance.
Just to rattle through them, we are running out of time a bit. Hopkins, Dawson, how's that one going to go?
Yeah, for me, youth beats experience.
Today.
Yeah, Chad Dawson.
McCloskey, DeMarcus Corley.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. That
37
really
now, DeMarcus Corley.
Yeah,
you're going
to go with McCloskey just for McCloskey coming off, looking to get back into the title mix. Coming off that defeat by Amir Khan, he was very disappointed with that. So you're going to lean towards McCloskey.
Alvarez, Mosley.
Very interesting one again.
That's on the undercard, obviously, of Mayweather Cotto, isn't it?
Yeah, but it tells you more about Alvarez. Again, we're going to find out more about him. Mosley, again, comes with a big puncher's chance. It's just slowed up just a little bit. And for me, Alvarez is the star of the future.
So then, that brings us to Mayweather Cotto, because the fight that we're bored of talking about isn't going to happen. No. Not yet, anyway. Mayweather Cotto, has he any chance? Because I can't see.
I just think that Cotto's a little bit too predictable for Mayweather. Mayweather's too cute. He's too slick. Likes to switch angles. His hand speed is too much, and I think that Cotto will be there, and he'll be there right to the end, but I think he'll get systematically busted up, and he'll probably get stopped in the latter half of the fight. And then going on to Mayweather-Pacquiao, what we've always been talking about. Do you know the problem with that fight is? They're both going to be... I think that Pacquiao's now just starting to begin to decline now, so I think when that fight does come around, you'll never see it at its best, so I think we've missed it already.
Well, that's a good way to end, I think. Let's keep the main man, probably the best, pound for pound, we probably agree, in the world at the moment, the Floyd, Moneyman, Mayweather. But anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for your company right here on The Fight Show. Thank you, Spencer. And
Thanks,
it's been a very interesting one with everything that we've spoken about tonight. Right here on The Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live.
Stay ahead of the game with Sports Tonight Live. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Search for Sports Tonight Live on Facebook and like our fan page. Follow Sports Tonight TV on Twitter and tweet us your thoughts and opinions. Sports Tonight Live, it's the platform for the fans.